All right, welcome back. I'm gonna do a little something different here. May not carry it out, I may, but I want to throw out two Stoic sermons. I don't know if I should call it that, but I'll figure it out. Instead of just doing it for Sundays, I want to also do it for Saturdays. So I'll get two out, just because I feel, or I believe, that this kind of thing is needed to just kind of get more content out there for the ones I do believe that they deserve it as much as they need it. Um, so I'm going to give this a shot and see where I go with that for this weekend. And I'm pretty sure in my last video I said I was going to talk about externals right after judgment. But if I didn't state anything about externals within the last video, which I'm sure I vaguely did, it's all about, it's just that, the word itself, external, stuff that's on the outside. And you got to really ask yourself, what is it on the outside that bothers me on the inside so much that if and when I am in control of it? So there are externals that you are in control of, and there are externals that you have to just let it be and let it roll out. And there's more likely than not a reason, a good and genuine reason why, the stuff that has happened externally that is outside of your control has happened, whether it be good or bad. Whether it be good or bad. There is a reason, and, to find that, it might, for the most part, would be a solo effort, but if you have a nice support system, it can definitely take you far. But it's the hero's journey, or at least a part of it, that's going to, help you understand yourself better, help you understand externals better, judgments, so on and so forth. But yeah, it's honestly just that, to just kind of like keep it not plain, but simplified, because the definition within itself is simplified. So we're going to jump over to adversity. I believe that this is much more important to put out there for you to understand. Now, adversity. What is that? What's but I won't go textbook definition, but by a definition that is true, it's just a challenge, a clash, an encounter. Where you would hear sometimes in, like, maybe a movie, anime, or whatever, like, this is my adversary, my opponent, like the obstacle over, the obstacle that's in your way, that's keeping you from being your best. And in which case, ye old judo flip, put that down on its back, move forward. Now, no one wants hardship in their lives, but hardship will always be necessary. It's always going to be something that we need on a daily basis. Adversity helps form worthy people that garner worthy achievements. So, to really look at yourself as worthy of anything, anyone is worthy of something greater, so long as they put in the hard work to earn that title, their status. Most importantly for men, we would die for status. It's something that you see when we go out to war, like back in the day when everyone's getting drafted, all the men are getting drafted, and it's just like you ask yourself, oh, well, what's worse? What's worse is basically, as like stuff, artillery shells or whatever rains from the skies. The worst possible thing is for that man to go, off, be a deserter, go back home or whatever, away from the front lines, and be mocked for being a coward. That is something worse than death for the average man. So, we'll stay on the front lines, be courageous, for better or worse. We're out there in the shit for the status. But cycling back, adversity is both an external that we misjudge and a resource that we can put to use. We don't like adversity. That's mostly what it means to be adversity. For the same reason that we misjudge many other externals, we view them with psychological, I might botch this word, uh, parochialism, or parochialism, which is just narrow-mindedness. Defining size and value, and better and worse in terms of our immediate wishes and convenience. That's from Mr. Farnsworth. Now, we can, for the most part, choose what happens to us. Literally, the externals that you cannot control. It just comes, maybe it's fast out of nowhere from left field, but we can choose how to react to it. That's a really big thing. Now, when a setback comes, Stoics interpret it as constructively as possible, as a chance to prove yourself or to learn or to build anew. And the value of any of these responses may be greater than the cost of the adversity itself. It's probable, not possible, it is probable. Before I continue this, do your best by living in a world of probabilities, not possibilities. And to further unpack that, to live in probabilities is just, straight shooter kind of shit. It's there, it's clean, simple, straightforward, precise. That's it. Possibilities are just like what ifs. You don't want to live in a world of what ifs because it gets to be too much. And honestly, I believe that it instills fear. Because if you're thinking of what ifs, this and that, and you don't know what is, you'd be living in fear of like the unknown for the most part, of the stuff that may not even exist. And it can really mess you up. So it's probable to reduce the force of adversity by thinking in certain ways about it. Consider things from every angle. Looking at your own adversity from another's point of view, anticipating it in advance, and understanding how acceptance of it and adaptation to it can help with its management. Also, Mr. Farnsworth. Thank you. Now, I'm going to start with preferences. There's about 12 different subsects of this area of adversity. I'm going to start with number 1, and that's preferences. Now, Stoics, while unafraid of adversity, are ready to turn it to good use, prefer to avoid it. Now, I'm gonna break that down just a little bit. I'm gonna break that down a little bit by saying, adversity. It's good to face it head on when it comes, right? But if there's kind of a choice within, as it is an external, if it comes down to a choice where you don't have to deal with it at all, and it's not going to make you a coward. It really isn't. And I know I just talked about, getting on the front lines back in the day, this and that, but that draft wasn't really like a choice. It was, but it wasn't. It's like a weird thing. But you're a man. You're gonna fight for your country. You're on the front lines. But that was more so a choice that was instilled because at that point in time, it was what it meant to be a man. You're just gonna face every challenge head on. Not really think much about it, but just think a little bit about it. But do more than you think. Spend some time to think things through before you act. It will be beneficial rather than just taking a shot in the dark. So this is from Seneca on his book of epistles. Or epistles. A brave man will expose himself to dangers. Not at all. He will not fear them, but he will avoid them. Caution suits him, not fear. So to unpack that, let's say let's say I'm going to some sort of restaurant, a party in the city or whatever. I'm in a Bugatti. I don't even know how I ended up in a Bugatti. Got it? Okay, it could be like bulletproof exterior, windows, all that, flame retardant, all that fun stuff. Okay, I still wouldn't want to park that in a bad part of the city. Even though people shoot at it, that's fine. People, shoot flames at it, it's fine. A grenade can go off on it, still fine. Supercar, I guess. But even though all that's there, all these preventative measures to keep me from losing my car, why would I still want to go ahead and, put a test to that when nothing's really wrong with it, but it's just knowing that, I'm still going to be cautious even though I'm prepared. So yeah, it could be all this stuff, and I'd have a care to not park it in a bad spot if and when that stuff does happen, and even if and when nothing bad happens to my car, I still wouldn't want the bad to happen to my car. Now, here's another one from Seneca. Why wouldn't I prefer that war not break out? But if it should come, my hope is to nobly bear the wounds, the starvation, and all else that it must bring with it. I am not so mad as to want to be ill, but if I must be ill, my hope is that I do nothing immoderate or weak. It is not hardships that are desirable, but the courage by which to endure them. So again, I may not want these adversities to come, but ultimately it's not up to me. Like, you understand that a bunch of shit out in the real world just comes to your front doorstep unwanted. But how do you react to it? How should you react to it? The only way that's conducive to you just living better. And we're gonna get to that within this lesson. So, if I'm sick, yeah, okay, it sucks, but I'm gonna put my focus into getting better, rather than to just constantly be in the mind state, or just like, oh my God, I'm sick, this is hopeless, it sucks. And you'd be surprised in how much your mind state, your mindset, and your belief to back it makes a difference. So long as you follow through the proper course of feeling better. If I'm sick, I got like some fever or some bull like that. Why the hell would I want to eat dairy? Anything dairy, it's only gonna make it worse. Gonna add more phlegm to my problem. Why the fuck would I want to do that? Don't do it. That's it. I won't do it. I would put more emphasis on trying to take DIY home remedies than over the counter like liquid Tylenol or something. All that acetaminophen buildup just isn't good for the body. But that aside, for the adversity that I don't want to deal with, when it comes, I'm gonna have to deal with it, for better or worse. So, gotta get to work. Gotta figure out a plan, game plan. Don't think about it too much, and just go. Now, another form of adversity would come with difficult people to deal with. And I put that lightly. for those who are just like, no, that's not really the word for it. I'm just putting it lightly. So when dealing with difficult people, you can choose to not deal with them with dignity and without hatred or fear. Just simple. And anyone that's talking shit about you, anyone that's trying to throw some shade your way or whatever, I don't know you. Who are you to me? You don't write my checks. You don't deposit money into my account. You don't get me out of bed every morning. You don't make my breakfast. You don't make my coffee. This, that, and the third. You are just some weird, anomalous, like, asshole or something. Out of my way. And that's where you're going to stay. Out of my way. Out of my lane. I'm in my lane. You might come by, and I'm just kind of, look at that goof. Done. Simple. So we're going to move on to inevitability. But also, before I even get back to that, I want to cycle back still on difficult people. They come in droves. They come by the many. And it's up to you to learn how to deal with them, because they have it within them, okay, to try to get a rise out of you. And by me saying getting a rise out of you, they're gonna put you in some crazy, maybe not crazy, deep emotional state where it could be either anger, sadness, depression, all the stuff that you really don't want to feel for a lapsed amount of time. And it could happen if you don't have the mind state within that moment, because fight or flight, it's in our biology. But you really have to like think about it when it happens to figure out like, well, what's this person saying that's like get me all upset. What? I don't even go home to see this person. So what kind of control does this person have over my life? Nothing. No control. He's out there in the wild, and that's where they can stay. Done. So on the topic of inevitability, the Stoic regards adversity as inseparable from existence, and so as best met with an accepting spirit. So, and listen, just like how I was talking about with these externals that just come, it's inevitable. You know, to deal with inevitability as best you can so that you're not really losing out on anything, it's completely up to you to go ahead and do that. And you should. Absolutely. You know, as much as you can. If it's something that's completely outside of your control, and I mean it completely, you gotta let it roll. You gotta let it roll. Now, there's a quote from Seneca, again from Pistols. Must be a really good book. Some things are thrown at you. Others just happen by accident. Life is not a dainty affair. You have started on a long road. Inevitably, you will stumble. You will knock into things. You will fall. You will grow weary. You will cry out, "Oh, for death!" In other words, you will tell lies. You will bury one in another. Elsewhere, you will be afraid of one. It is through troubles of that sort that this rugged journey must be made. Now, like Seneca and myself, lies are not ultimately condoned. It happens, and you have to ask yourself, like, how many people lie? The average person lies at the very least 3 times a day. Little white lies, little this and that. Now, I'm not saying that it's okay, but it just happens because, again, when inevitable things just come at you, and you're put in a position to figure out what to do. Some people choose the route to go off and lie about something, and hopefully it's something small. I don't condone promoting like a big lie that's going to be at the detriment to other people. You know what I mean? And I don't even condone lying at all. I condone with living honestly, for better or worse. But in regards to certain things, if it happens because it's going to. Even to the most honest of people, it's going to. Now, I'm not saying that with what I'm doing here, that I'm spreading lies, or oh yeah, go be a liar. No, I'm letting you become aware. I'm showing you, telling you to be aware of this factoid. It may not, again, it's not something that you should like. You can dislike it, but it's there. It's there to learn from. It's all a part of the journey. It's a part of even the hero's journey. It's a part of it. It will happen. Just do your best not to bury one lie into another lie, because when shit rolls downhill, it rolls down really fast. And you are most likely going to be at the bottom of the entire avalanche. So yeah, when little lies happen here and there, it's going to happen. But don't continue to stack it up, because you're just stacking it up against you over time. And it happens to everybody when they get caught up in something. Every time. Whether the other person tells on themselves, or whether you being the lie that's burying one on top of the other, you tell on yourself. It's like Edgar Allan Poe's Telltale Heart. The guilt comes through whether you feel it on the high or if it's on the low, and you say something that just gets you caught up in the worst of ways, even though it was just like a pass. So that's the impact for that. Now, the views of adversity as an unavoidable part of life and inseparable from the good have some other implications for how we think and talk. For one, Stoics don't see the point of complaining about things that are inherent to human existence. Okay? And this is a really, really good one from Marcus Aurelius. Now, keep in mind, these quotes from these Stoics, hundreds, maybe a couple thousand, maybe a couple like 5,000, of years. This is before any kind of modern advancement for man. You just have these dudes in robes just trying to figure it out, because there was no science. There was no scientific method for this kind of stuff. There might have been a philosophy, yeah, sure. But this was all just to go ahead and put a pin on the human pattern. Because it cycles out. The same patterns that you see within yourself, that you see within other people that you see within society as a whole. So from Marcus Aurelius on Meditations, this cucumber is bitter. Throw it away. There are brambles in the road. Turn aside. That's enough. Don't go on to say, why are there such things in the world? You would be ridiculed by any student of nature just as you would be laughed at by the carpenter and the shoemaker if you criticized them because you saw shavings and trimmings from the things that they make in their workshops. Literally that. Why stress and sweat over the little things that barely have any meaning, any control over your life? This little things. Don't sweat the small stuff. I'm sure you've heard it a couple of times in your lifetime. Stop sweating the small stuff. Don't worry so much about it. Don't put so much thought into it. Just the small stuff. In which case, it rings true, even from back then to now. It's only going to hurt you and stun your progress as you try to make it through in life when you start sweating the small stuff. Because for those that go ahead and do it, those are the ones that are complaining a whole lot more than they should about nothing. And it is a trait that you see with narcissists, absolutely. And it stuns the growth. It really does. So do your best, to over time to not do that kind of thing. Now, excuse my cat. What we have something from Farnsworth here. Whatever the ways of the universe may require us to suffer, let us take it up with high-mindedness. This is the oath by which we are bound, to bear with the human condition, and not to be disturbed by what we do not have the power to avoid. Like it's all going back to what I was stating a couple minutes ago. We have a lot to our advantage to use to flip adversity on its head if and when it comes, whether it's inevitable or not. We are always well equipped. And, again, stuff that's outside of our control, all right, don't sweat it. Little stuff, all right, don't sweat it. Focus on the things that you can control, that you should control, and keep it rolling just like that. I'm telling you from experience and from other people of like mind to my own, that this shit works. It really does. You feel better knowing that you have control over a lot of things in your life, and it has you be knowledgeable of the fact that the stuff that you don't have control over may or may not be a big impact on you. If it is, there is purpose to it. It's like looking at the silver lining, If it isn't, then it's just kind of like, look, it might have sucked, but all right, we can bounce back from it instead of just lying there. Okay, I myself, I've gone through my fair share. What was it? I had a full wallet, almost $1,000 in it, all my credentials. Had a good day, this and that. I was getting ready to deposit it in my new bank account at this new bank, and gone, disappeared. Couldn't find it. Spent hours looking for this fucking thing, and I was just getting so built, like man, this is building up. And in my own case, I wasn't in the right area to unleash that sort of madness. So I just kind of sat with it, and it fucking sucked. I lost all my shit. And but then I after the emotion had passed and I was able to analyze it, this and that, I asked myself, I was like, well, it's not like, can I not get it again? No, I can get all those things again. Fucking sucks to build it back up, but it is what it is. The fact that I'm able to build it back up showed me that I wasn't at as much of a loss as I thought I was at in the beginning. So, literally, when it comes to stuff like that, like, think of it. Is it game over? Am I dead? Am I going to die? Am I left with absolutely nothing? No family, no friends, no money, no nada, no cat. And literally, when you ask yourself these questions, you start to figure out that it's just like, no, I'm never without truly, because I have the opportunity to bounce back, to get it back. And thus I shall. So the ills that come with life should be accepted by considering their potential in advance. Before they happen to anyone in particular, we do not encounter the same misfortunes, but we often are equal in the risks to which we are subject as mortals. Again, to put it simply, in modern times, shit happens. It really does, though. But again, it's you have to again you have to weather the storm. Consider the potential in advance for for the stuff that's happened to you or that has happened, or even if you know it's going to happen, because at least then you have somewhat of a semblance of a clue, and with that it kind of just trickles down to everything else where you feel a little bit more prepared for it, and you're just kind of like, all right, well, now I just got to wait for the sucks to come, and then I'll embrace the sucks, find my way to flip it, and then bounce back, and now I'm back on the path again. That's it. When you walk on any kind of street, stretch of road, whatever, and you may not have proper footing or something, you may be a klutz, you trip and you fall down. Did you die? No. You're just gonna get back up. It's like, oh, all right, well, that was goofy, that sucked, I scraped my knee or something, and that's it. You are not without. You still got your legs, still healthy, still breathe correctly. On you go. Now, third one is Hermes' magic wand. Okay, for those of you that don't know, if you don't, that's all right. If you do, cool. Hermes, one of the Greek gods, real fast, but he had like this magic wand that just kind of whatever it touched, just made it into the best thing ever. So from Epictetus on his book of Discourses, Hermes' magic wand. Touch it to anything you like, they say, and the wand will turn it to gold. Not so. Bring anything you like, rather, and I'll make it something good. Bring disease, bring death, bring poverty, bring insults, bring punishment for high crimes. All these things will be made beneficial by Hermes' wand. Now, with that, all of which that was said, disease, death, poverty, insults, punishment for high crimes, all these bad things that come. To apply Hermes' magic wand to it is to try to mitigate how bad it can be with the silver lining, with the good that can be found within it. Right? And it helps mitigate how bad things are at that time, where it's just you just kind of like laugh it off, like yeah, I know it blows, but it's not forever. Like what's a good example that that okay, perfect thing. I crashed two cars. I had front end collisions with poles, with electrical poles. Okay, I was out two cars. I had like a bill to pay and all this other madness. Yeah, it sucked. What's the silver lining from that? I'm gonna be in the new car, or the dings on my record from the front end collisions that I'd have to go ahead and be on a good streak, have it towards a clean record. I can get there. Yeah, it's gonna be years in the future, but at that time, it sucked to realize about. I'm just like, all right, you know what? It's gonna clear off my record, and then I won't have to pay so much for insurance, and I won't be looked at as such a liability and all that stuff. So you just kind of laugh in the face of the bullshit, knowing that everything's gonna be okay. Because again, you are not ever truly without when shit happens. Here's something from Marcus Aurelius on meditations. The mind turns around every hindrance to its activity and converts it to further its purpose. The impediment to action becomes part of the action. The obstacle in our way becomes the way forward. So again, if our minds can be wired to just kind of treat any kind of bad thing as the worst thing, well then why not flip it and treat it try to treat it as like a good thing. In a sense, it is with purpose. It helps you come out of your comfort zone, push you towards something better. because we could not hope to live better if we live struggle free, truly. And the obstacle that's in our way, we could flip it, and it's the way forward for us. Again, judo flip. That's it. I'm gonna make that a thing, put it on a T-shirt or something, because to all that I am speaking on and that I will be for some time, it's just that flip the bad, flip it so that it can be something good, because it's just how it's supposed to be for the most part. Argue it all you want, but would you rather take, if you're at a crossroads and you see on one road that it looks all nice, but you see some weird bad looking shit on the horizon, or would you rather take the other road where you just see broken glass, all sorts of shit, hot rocks that you have to walk on, but you see how beautiful it is on the other side. It's a clear view, and you really ask yourself, well, okay, do I want to suffer now to learn, to build up on things, so that I could live in that beautiful land over there with better mindset, with better strength, better spirituality, and all that? Or do I just want the easy way and see what happens? I want to take the more beautiful and easy route now and see what happens at the end, which it's a harsher fall if it's towards the end than how it would be right now. So we're gonna go to equipment. It's number 4. It's the perfect quote. I have it on my my chalkboard that I look at. It really helped me out. Nature did not want us to be harassed. Whatever it requires of us, it has equipped us for. It's perfect. Again, we're never truly without, because nature has provided us with things that we could use to better ourselves, whether it's in a good place or whether it's in a shitty place. Most likely it will be in a shitty place, but it's part of the journey, it's part of the growth, to constantly work, to constantly be in a state of uncomfortability, so that when you work hard enough and you create an area of comfort, to not stay there long. Because if and when you do, you don't feel good about it, or even if you don't, you should not feel good about how comfortable things are, to just kick your feet up and this and that. I'll play video games for a whole day, nothing bad, this and that. But what is being done constructively for you? The achievements and the trophies you can get in a video game. What does it matter? What does that really matter? What does it really matter, honestly? But besides adhering to a culture, and to be around like-minded people so that you don't feel so alone, that's one thing, yeah. But that's also, it's, to me, and how I believe it, it's not conducive towards betterment. Yeah, sure. On the side, cool. You got a little bit of comics knowledge or anime stuff, or just little tidbits about nerd stuff, geek stuff. That's fine. It's completely fine to have little interest in your hobbies like that. But to stay in that realm for a long period of time, it's damaging. It really is damaging. You get lazy. Yeah, you feel like shit. You feel like you're a loser, and then you accept that? Come on. No, that's horseshit. You know it, and I know it. And it might feel bad for anyone who's watching this, and oh, that's me. It might feel bad to hear it, but you need to hear it. You absolutely need to hear it, because you have to grow out of that, get into something better. I'm not saying to put away the video games, put down your hobbies. You don't need hobbies. No, hobbies are nice to have. It's healthy. Sometimes, yeah, you could sit down, play for a little bit, or watch something for a little bit, or whatever. But it shouldn't be an all-day thing. For the trophies and achievements you can get in a virtual space, think about the trophies and achievements you can get in real life, and how much better you would feel when you get that, after the hard work that you put into it, after realizing how much you wanted it, to where it was almost necessity. You know, to which case, yeah, I would say it's necessity. But for but for some things that you would really want, that it's a want with that much drive, it could be a sort of necessity for you. Anything, you're good at drawing, become the best to where you're now working on panels, to where you're now doing commissions for people, and and you're getting monetized for it, you're getting realized for it. Or if you're in sports, same thing. Go the extra mile. Take the time to train off the field in your own space. Get into like the zone, whatever it is that you need to be a little bit better than the rest, because it's a competitive world out there. This isn't to mince words. Everything is competitive. You have your haves and you have your have-nots, but the have-nots could be the haves if they applied themselves properly. There's nothing out here in the West that's keeping you from being the best that you absolutely can be. I want you to realize this right now. In the East, a little bit different. Gotta say, a little bit different. But even then, you're still able to go ahead and get to where you need to. But in the West, on American shores, even more so. Even more so. So, from Epictetus on his book of Enchiridion, whatever happens to you, remember to turn yourself and ask what power you have for dealing with it. If you see a good-looking boy or woman, you'll find that the power of such things is self-control. If hard labor is at hand, you will find endurance. If abusive language, you will find patience. And if you make this a habit, the appearance of things will not carry you away with them. Which, I will still unpack this, but it is kind of clear cut from the guy that, to realize that, you might have a desire for some girl walking around, some boy walking around, and part of you might feel like you just want to go cuckoo banana bullshit, and it may ruin your chances to conversating or ending up with that person, which is why self-control is necessary. And how I spoke on it in the last video, you have your id, keep your ego on a bit of a leash. Again, it's 60% id, 40% ego, or 70% id, 30% ego. You want more id. A little bit of ego goes a long way, but more id definitely helps. Definitely. To where, as he stated, okay, hard job. You're going to know how it is to work really hard, so that whatever job that you get after that isn't so hard, like, oh, wow, this is vacation. Abusive language, you're going to find patience with it instead of just acting outright, oh, well, fuck you, blah, 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 and then fists start flying. No, really, really think about it. It's like, am I dealing with a goofy here? I didn't do anything to get these kind of words or whatever, honestly, especially if I'm coming from a good place. So the whole abusive language or emotions that they're trying to get out of me, that's really stuck on them, that's on them. You're not going to gaslight me. No, I could see right through you. Full transparency. You're a goofy. See you later. The fifth, adversity is proving ground. Setbacks show what we are really capable of doing, honestly. And this would be like an awesome quote to have in its native language. I can't think of it when it comes to mind, but basically, fire tests gold, misfortune brave men. That's from Seneca in his book on Providence. And you can go ahead and look it up. I really don't have it here as I should, but that's all right. Just know that whatever kind of adversity that you're facing, it's always a test. It's always a challenge. And you must ask yourself at all times, how am I going to deal with this in a way that's conducive to me learning something, me getting stronger, me being better? One of life's many tests that it comes, no matter what shape it takes, no matter what form it takes, it will always be that, a test, a challenge. For you to see how well you do, and even if you don't do well, okay, you sit and you realize, without beating yourself up, what you could do better for the next time that something like this happens. And even if it doesn't happen, you're still being tested to just be better, to handle situations better. That is just kind of BS. Without an adversary, virtue shrivels. We see how great and powerful it really is, only when it shows by endurance what it is capable of. Be assured that good men should act likewise. They should not shrink from hardships and difficulties, nor complain against fate. We should make the best of whatever happens and turn it to good. Flip it. Big old judo flip. But it's absolutely true. To where, if we're not faced with any sort of challenges, how are we going to be better? How is our virtue going to climb through the ranks? You know, and as we analyze the adversary or the adversity itself before we attack it, it brings a whole lot of things to light, and it keeps us from complaining about things that doesn't matter. It keeps us from complaining about fate that falls on us, to where you make it so much more of destiny than fate. You know, it helps out. 6, adversity as training. Adversity can be looked at as a chance to learn. No one is likely to accomplish anything great who doesn't know how to work with setbacks. Misfortune can be looked at as part of that learning process. Thank you, Mr. Farnsworth. But it's true. It's always going to be something that you can learn from, so that you just know better for the next time, or maybe you can apply that to someone that just hasn't gotten through it yet, and try to make it believable, whether or not it's, oh yeah, no, it'll never happen to me, and it does, and it's like, well, I'm not gonna say it. But then I told you so, it's kind of creeping around the corner. But even then, you shouldn't even have to go ahead and say that. You just kind of look at them like, and then that's it. It is crisis that reveals the man. Now, I want to add this disclaimer. I probably should have added it at the start of this episode. Stoicism isn't primarily for men. It can be used for women as well, or any gender of who you are. You can definitely use this. Okay, it's just for the time that it's said. Back in the day, it was to perpetuate great men forward with the knowledge that they needed, as well as moving forward with all the perpetuated wisdom upon you, but with a developed moral compass. So to put all this knowledge on you, I would hope and believe that over time, as you develop certain things for your own, that you are also developing your moral compass, figuring out the rights from the wrongs, so that you're coming from a good place no matter who you are. You're not using this for any kind of villainous means. This is on us to learn to be better, so that we can empower each other without putting the other one down. It's probable. It's definitely probable. It can be done. It has been done. Now we're going to jump on to 7. Adversity as privilege. It could be viewed as a kind of honor or good fortune, because only some would be asked or able to rise to the occasion. So when it comes, who's gonna answer the call? Who's gonna stand up, rise above the bullshit? It's like, nah, fuck that. I'm not dealing with that. I'm gonna flip it. Done. Not all share the same sentiments, unfortunately, when they should. I really do hope that the others, that they don't rise to that occasion, that they would get another chance. Because the worst thing you can do is just kind of like sit there, lie there, and take it. I don't believe in that kind of lifestyle. So, and Seneca goes ahead and says it best: toil summons the best men. Good men work, spend, and are spent, and they do so willingly. Fortune does not drag them; they follow it and keep step. So, literally that when the shit hits the fan, when something big comes, and the good men are going to come out and rise to the occasion, for better or worse, and they're going to get shit done. Same thing with women. You can go, same thing with women. Strong women will come, heed the call, get shit done. It's just how it is. And for the ones that aren't going to do it, maybe it's not your time yet, but it definitely sit and think with it. Sit with it and think on, you know, crushing that fear, crushing the doubt, the uncertainty of things, and become more confident in who you are and how to handle certain situations when inevitable bullshit comes right at your feet. 8. Humility and judgment. Even apart from the methods just described for turning adversity into good, it is hard to tell where an apparently bad thing will lead. Events that seem terrible when they happen sometimes result in greater things later. This may be because the process of recovery produces a result that surpasses whatever was destroyed. That's from Farnsworth. Now, again, the bad shit comes. All right. Don't be so focused on how bad it is rather than the good that can come out of it once when you stand face to face with it. Probably in a way, standing up to someone, any kind of bully that's bigger than you, you're just like, I truly do not give a fuck how bigger this person is than me. I'm putting the foot down. I'm standing my ground. Whether or not I lose the battle here, I stood up for myself and what I believed in amidst my adversary, amidst the bullying. Okay, and that counts for a whole lot more than just winning the fight. You're able to, in that moment, if you had lost that battle, you were able to learn a whole lot more about yourself than you realized. Where it's just like, oh wow, I didn't think I had it in me. Oh, what a rush. I should train in a certain way, get stronger, get bigger, or develop some sort of martial arts technique. So when the next time it happens, I know exactly what to do. And I was able to stand up to a bully, to my bully. So now, and because most oftentimes than not, that bully is not going to go ahead and he's going to, he or she's going to start thinking twice about stepping up to you again, because they weren't expecting you to rise up to them and to duke it out, because there was no fear there. You stood face to face with your adversary, looked them in the eye, and just go fuck yourself. It's on. Let's go. Win or lose, you were able to do that. That speaks volumes to yourself as well as your bully. Really does. And even if a lot of people are around to go ahead and see it happen, yeah, onlookers will be like, oh wow, he still lost this and that. But for those that say shit like that, they don't get it. Because again, if they were in your shoes, it'd be a little bit different. So the fact that you were you went up and you're just like, yo, it's on. You did the best that you could. Okay, and even if you lost, just don't even beat yourself up. You did the biggest thing ever by pushing back, and that's how it should be with life and anything that it tosses at you. Just keep pushing back, keep pushing, keep pushing. Okay, be the driving force. Now, this is something from Musonius Rufus on his book Fragment. Philosopher of his time, much later than the three, Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius. If you decide to try above all to have what is best for you, don't be annoyed at difficult circumstances, but consider how many things have already happened to you in your life, not as you wanted, but as was best for you. What I've just been talking about this past couple minutes, even if you are annoyed and you still go through with it, okay. But learn to kind of dissect that out, because it's not conducive to you being better, or maybe it could be wrong. It could be conducive to you being better because you're just so annoyed that you just want to get done with it, but you're not really reckless about it because you still think of things through. You're just like, nah, but I can't do it, and all of a sudden, like, you flip the car or something. Maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but you get so annoyed with the hardship of it that maybe that could be the true push, that you needed to move things forward. It can happen. It's happened in movies and media, probably in someone else's life. Rings true. 9. Point of view. The Stoic learns to see things from angles more helpful than the self-centered one that we are prone to use without reflection. That's from Farnsworth. Respond to your own adversities by asking what they think when the same thing happens to others. So in life, you have to consider everything from every angle, especially now because we've been living in an age of infowars and all that other stuff. But you have to consider everything at every single angle because there is a nexus point towards every bit of information. And if it's something that resonates in your life with your stance on certain things, even if it seems and feels right, still dig. Still try to find the nexus point for that. Just because just because it's conducive to your way of thinking, because of how it makes you feel, set that aside. Okay. Pay attention to what is said, not how it's said. And you'll come to find out. And to me, that's probably the only thing that you should be, digging for when it comes to finding the answer. You know, um, yeah, because it's on you to, you want to live that better lifestyle. So when it comes to when it comes to responding to your own adversities, you really, 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 ask yourself that question. Like, okay, what had happened to me, and what had happened to someone else that's different, could it happen in the same capacity? It's just going to be a little bit different. But, you still don't want to live in a world of comparisons like that. You just kind of have to put yourself in someone else's shoes at times before you just kind of harshly judge them, and ask them the question, if what is your stance on this and why is it? Because not every person is born bad. They're just taught bad values. Honestly, everyone has it in them to be good and to have good values instilled in them. You know. Now this is from Duvair on the moral philosophy. Remember how you judged mishaps when they happened to others, and considered how you were hardly moved, and even blamed them and brushed aside their complaints. The opinions we have of another man's cause are always more just than those we have of our own. So, but before, like, to think back on anybody that's just like, you judged on, something that happened to you that happened to them, or rather, it happened to them, you judge them, and then it happens to you, and you're just like, oh, what the fuck? And and this is kind of like, you you can't just it's you can't just like outwardly judge someone off their stuff without even knowing the context. Always understand the context before you start to judge. Really, because once if you start doing it without any context, then I'm not viable to listen to you. Yeah, I'm nothing to back it up. It's just because of what is it that you perceived without the context. Now will always be like the worst thing. Provide context to what you see. Consider it from every angle to see the message or the view for what it really is. 10. Anticipation. Anticipating adversity can take away its terrors and reduce its force when it arrives. That's from Farnsworth. Which, as I stated before, if you're able to weather the storm, do so. It makes the impact, it makes the hit a lot less worse than how it could have been if you weren't in the know. The wise man gets used to future evils. What other men make bearable by long endurance, he makes bearable by long reflection. We sometimes hear the inexperienced say, I didn't know this was in store for me. The wise man knows that everything is in store for him. Whatever happens, he says, I knew. Now, this is, for a wise man to be a wise man, it comes from going through a lot of stuff. It comes through a lot of experience. Notice how in this excerpt from Seneca on Epistles, it said, in regards to the inexperience that they say, well, I didn't know. By that time, the wise man is, I don't know, most likely anywhere between 30s and above, that, he realized some stuff. He hasn't completely figured out life, but definitely went through a lot of shit to just kind of figure, oh, yeah, I can kind of see it coming now. So I'm better equipped than how I was. I was well equipped then to deal with shit, but I'm better equipped now because now I have the knowledge of previous things that have happened to me to back up and bolster my defenses for it. And here's another from Seneca, but from his book on tranquility of the mind. What can happen to one can happen to any. I don't even have to unpack that. It speaks for itself. So don't think for 1 second that something can't happen to you for whatever reason. It could. Again, it's all on your reaction to it and how well you're going to go ahead and deal with that. 11. Pain and opinion. Some kinds of distress can't be entirely dissolved by how we think about them. But they say that our reactions are still strongly affected by our judgments, by the ways we talk to ourselves or are conditioned to respond. That's from Farnsworth. Now, again, I'm pretty sure in the last video I was talking about speaking to yourself in the mirror, words of affirmation and stuff like that to help you get to a better place, to help build your confidence and stuff like that. Now, on this topic, it's very easy to get in your head and say, oh, this, start saying some BS like, this is hopeless. How am I going to do this? And, you start building up the negativity in your head. Your mind's swirling. It's a spiraling staircase all the way down. And you have to flip that. I understand how it may happen when certain things come, when the adversity from inevitability lands on your lap and you're like, whoa, what? Know that you are far from being well equipped to handle it in a way that benefits you, to be better, to grow from it, to learn something from it, carry it with you. And if you're able to have it trickle down from you to your younger sibling, younger friends, friends same age, siblings same age, so on and so forth, that they may have or haven't gone through yet, and they say, oh, well, you don't get it, you don't understand. It's like, no, on the contrary, I do. Let's sit down and talk this out. Don't make your ills worse for yourself and burden yourself with complaints. Pain is slight if opinion adds nothing to it. If, on the contrary, you start to encourage yourself and say, it's nothing or certainly very little, let's hold out, it will soon leave off. Then in thinking it slight, you will make it so. And I had just said that before even looking at this. But it's true. It really is true. Now, this will be, well, actually, before I even get to that, there was something from a philosopher called Montaigne that it is with pain as with gemstones that look brighter or duller depending on the foil in which they are set. Pain takes up only as much space as we allow it. That last part, pain takes up only as much space as we allow it. It's heavy. It's huge. Because everyone doesn't want to feel pain. Everyone does, even though they don't want to. In a tape before you just realize that it's enough. You're just like, nah, okay, no mas. We're done. No more. Fuck it. Get it out of here. Because everyone has their breaking point when it comes to stuff like this. And you don't want to just sit, lie there and just take it. To me, become the retaliator, not the victim. Especially if you know something can be done about it. Because for the victim, you just kind of you sit with it. You sit with it. But the retaliator knows that it's just no, not me, not today. You just like uppercut that shit right the hell out of here. You absolutely can do it. Even if you feel afraid. Which is the best thing to move forward with things, is when you feel afraid. It's the fight or flight. What is it that you're going to do about it when it comes? I will always be an advocate of being the retaliator. Especially if you're a good person. Especially if you're a good person. And even if even for bad people, okay? And I don't advocate for bad people doing bad things, but even when people, even when, it's the battle of good and evil, even bad people don't become victims. They retaliate with their bullshit, yeah. And good people are just like, nope, not today. Give them that uppercut. So long, bad guy. We're out of here. Let's go home. You know, you can whatever it is that you're facing, okay? Whatever it is that's truly troubling you, you can fight back. You can fight it. That would do you so much service. No matter how much fear you have, uncertainty, sadness, depression, you absolutely can fight it. You may be going through something right now that's a lot. And I understand. I've been through my fair share of shit. I've been under boot heels a bunch of times to just push that off my face. Get the fuck out of here. Okay? Because there should be no person out there that should be kept down. And if you are kept down, the time's a ticking. And your time will come, okay, when you have had enough. And you fight back. And you retaliate. And by doing those things, congratulations. You have made such a perfect boundary in place. You put not just one foot down, both feet down in a stance to fight back the bullshit at any time, at any corner, no matter how often it comes to land on your lap. You know the moves that it takes to kick that shit to the moon. Throw it in the trash. Light the trash on fire. See you later. Now, number 12 is adaptation. Acceptance of adversity is helped by time. Adaptation isn't always beneficial. It can cause one to get used to bad things that ought to be fixed, or to good things that go unappreciated. But adaptation is unquestionably a great aid in making peace with adversities that cannot be helped. It's from Farnsworth. Now, again, yeah, it's going to take time. I'm not saying all this to where as soon as it comes, it's easy. You just like bash it out of existence. For some, it may not come that easily. I understand. Take your time, not too much time, but take some time. When it comes to think, sometimes you'd be pushed and you don't have time to think. Life will toss a lot of things at you that require critical thinking. Where something bad comes in and okay, critical thinking. What am I gonna do? I got like 6 seconds to figure this out. And and you just kind of you get pushed to the brink sometimes. It's going to happen. Just know that it's normal. And to give yourself time to really think it through, that whatever it is that's best practice, that's the best thing for you to go ahead and do so that you can live in a healthier space. Yeah, do just that. You owe it to yourself every time to live in a healthy space, to live in a better place. In here, in your mind, out there in your world. Especially because what goes on in your mind perpetuates how you see the world every day. Now, and as you said, adaptation isn't always beneficial because you don't want to get used to bad things happening, because then it's easy for you to get in this mindset where it's like, oh well, bad things happen to me all the time. I just know how to deal with it better. Like, no. Don't twist it like that. Just don't think that bad things are going to happen to you all the time. Because with that kind of mindset, you're going to think that you don't deserve the good times. You don't deserve the good things. When you do. You absolutely do. Just keep it in your head that when the bad things come, yeah, you know how to deal with it. And especially when over time, yeah, you know how to deal with it better. So it is, in fact, a great aid in making peace with adversities that cannot be helped. And Seneca has a quote from his book On Tranquility of the Mind. There is nothing for which nature deserves greater praise than this, knowing the hardships to which we were born, It invented habit as a salve to disasters. We quickly accustom ourselves to even the severest misfortunes. No one could withstand adversity if its persistence were felt with all the same force as its first blow. Now, with that, again, we are all on a mortal coil. We are all human. We are far from perfect. We are far from superheroes, mutants, the like. We are also far from being well equipped to deal with bad things that happen, with problems that come, with tests and challenges that come to us on a daily basis, even down to the smallest thing. We are well equipped to deal with those things, to put ourselves in a better mind space, into a better world space, to a better heart space, so that, every day is a battle. Every day is a battle, but not just a battle. Always a good fight, because the good fights have a lot of hard work put into them to fight for something better. You always want to be involved in a good fight for a better tomorrow, for a better future. And I trust you and believe in you wholeheartedly, no matter who you are, no matter who's watching this or listening to this. I truly trust and believe you to go ahead and do what's best for yourself, because it will trickle down. Inevitably, it will trickle down, empower other people, whether it's of the same gender or of different genders, same race, different race, etc. So that they're just, it's kind of like seeing the hero kick ass in the movie, and you feel so good about it when you're in the scene. Like, as soon as you leave the theater, like, I feel like I could just go ahead and just roundhouse kick somebody right now, and save the day. When people are able to see that you are doing what's best for yourself, that fighting adversity tooth and nail, the hardest you can, the smartest you can, it inspires them. It really does. And with that, much love to you. Many blessings. And stay tuned for Sunday Stoicism. This is the Saturday, but stay tuned for Sunday Stoicism. That's coming. All right, be well and take care.